Braden do. And then my final one, Vince, if I'm Chansi Stuckey, my final task is my biggest recruit, my number one recruit right now, if I'm Chansi Stuckey, is not anyone in the 2023 class.
He's already on the roster.
Anyone in the transfer portal. It's the kid wearing number 26 on the other side of the ball.
Yep.
I'm recruiting Xavier Watts.
And I'm holding up the number 2 jersey that he used to have and be like, this one's lonely.
Yep.
Like, I wrote down fight for X. Like, that's what I wrote down prior to the show because I know that you have said that it's his decision, right? It's Xavier Watts' decision whether to stay on defense.
As it should be.
Or go to offense.
As much as they've jerked him around, it should be his decision.
But you need to fight for him, man. Yeah. Like, I'm in his ear every time I see him. I'm shooting him text messages. I'm doing whatever I have to do to get him over to offense. Yeah. And be like, dude, we can be special.
You're going to play for me.
You're going to be special over here, and you're going to get
He's going to get a ton of reps in the spring because there's nobody else there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's going to shine on offense because I still believe, look, he can be a really, really good safety. There's no question.
Right.
I think he could be an elite offensive player.
I believe so, yeah. I believe he could be. I still think that for the NFL, his best position would be the receiver.
Yeah,
for the reasons we talked about before. Xavier's a really good athlete. He's not a 4-3 guy. He's not a 4-4-2 guy. He's more of a 4-5 guy that's really athletic. You know, those guys fit better, as we've talked about in the National Football League, as receivers than they do defensive backs, in my opinion. I mean, if Cole Beasley can be an NFL receiver, and this isn't a shot on Cole Beasley, it's just like he's not big. He's not a 4-3 guy.
Right.
He knows how to play the game. Right. And that's kind of the thing for me is I think Xavier can be a really good football player. And it would be my number one priority would be to convince him of doing that.
And that's by far my number one priority from a personnel standpoint, from a numbers standpoint, from all of these different things. And if somebody ever accidentally drops, Chansi Stuckey's number into my phone, like I'm texting coach and be like, dude, have you talked to Xavier today? And then the next day, have you talked to Xavier today? Like that's your number one priority. No question about it.
No doubt. That's absolutely. And John A1 with a super chat. Thanks, John. Is Watts a top 3 wide receiver talent on the current roster? I think he can be. Yeah. I mean, just God-given talent. Yes. I think he's got more talent than Avery
From
Davis.
a raw talent perspective, absolutely.
Now, again, I think that I would say he's 3rd or 4th in that conversation. Deion Colzie and Tobias have things you just can't teach Xavier Watts or Lorenzo Styles, and that's being 6'4".
Right.
Lorenzo's in that conversation. Xavier's in that conversation. There's no doubt. I mean, like I said before, if you're going into the 2023 season and your top 4 receivers are Deion Colzie, Lorenzo Styles, Tobias Merriweather, and Xavier Watts, good luck defenses.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're going to need it. And that's my whole thing is he can play for you. I mean, look, because you're young, you don't necessarily have to have any of those guys be the guy.
Right.
Give me a rotation of 5-6 guys that have their roles and make sure they're getting there. Some weeks Xavier may get more touches. Another week it may be Lorenzo, Deion, or whatever. And I think Xavier's unique in that he can play all 3 of those positions.
Yes, exactly.
And to me that adds value as well.
He could be a matchup nightmare. He could be. You find where he best matches up game to game.
You can go with your speed unit.
Right.
And they need to have this. So like you yell speed, or, you give it lightning or whatever. And you put your 3 fast guys, right? NASCAR, whatever.
Yeah.
You put Xavier in the boundary, Avery in the slot, Lorenzo to the field, right? And then maybe the next series you go with a bigger group and you've got Tobias and Deion and Xavier's in the slot, right? I mean, there's and then if you put Lorenzo and Deion on the field together, they can switch between slot and outside. So, that would be my thing. And so again, when you talk about a group that lacks depth, a group that lacks ball in hand playmaking ability, you've got a guy on your roster that can be that. He's playing safety right now. That's my number one recruit.
Right.
Yep. And that's what you need to do because Xavier is still going to have a little bit of a bitter taste in his mouth from how he was treated by the previous group, So to me, I got to make him feel the love. There's no other way you're going to convince him. It's not just, we think you can play here. It's like, dude, it's going to have to be recruiting him again.
Yeah,
that's what you're going to have to do. And I still believe that's his best position.
Me too.
That doesn't mean he can't play defense, and that's
not saying that at all. Yeah.
Is.
No, I think he'd be a really good safety.
I think the kid could just be a special receiver. So that would be the thing for me. So Vince, we went a little long on the 2 offensive guys. So we now know what part of our topic will be on Thursday.
Yes.
We will talk about Coach Washington and we will talk about Coach Mason on Thursday, along with some other things. But I thought this was a really interesting conversation, and the reason I want to focus so much on these two is because the offense is still the group that has to raise its level of play if Notre Dame's going to compete for a title. And there's going to be all the excuses that people are going to lay out for why they shouldn't be a great offense next year. Oh, the quarterback and blah, blah. Look, let me tell you something right now. Tyler Buckner has a lot more playing experiences going into his sophomore year than Bryce Young had last year. He had 3 times as many yards, 6 times as many touchdowns as a freshman than Bryce Young had, okay? Don't tell me he doesn't have enough experience. Now, is he going to play well? We don't know that. But in today's era, inexperience isn't an excuse anymore for not having a great offense, okay?
Right.
You've got talent at receiver. You've got the best tight end in college football, in my opinion. You just hired one of the best offensive line coaches in college football, and you returned 8 guys that have started at least 2 games of college football, right? So the talent is there. And John A. Wins, and he more experience than C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud threw 0 passes as a freshman at Ohio State in 2020. Right. 0. So to me, the talent is there. It's got to be coached. It's got to be nuanced. You've got to build around it. The talent is there, and that's the task that Harry Hiestand and Chansi Stuckey have. John McNulty's a good tight ends coach. Tommy Rees is going to get even better in year 3 than he was in year 2, in my opinion. That's just the natural evolution of a young coach. He's going to keep getting better especially if he's open to realizing there's another level for me as a coach. Okay. And so to me, when I look at it, I say the offensive staff is going to be the key to the two, more than D coordinator, more than anything else. Chansi Stuckey and Harry Hiestand, to me, could be those 2 final pieces to this thing. And if they are what we hope they are and think they are, then we're going to see the offense take that big jump. And that's what I'm excited to see. And that's, what I'm hoping to see. And I can't wait to the spring to start to see that first group, because the talent.